Thanks for tuning in to the concealedcarry.com channel. I am Tyler of Synergy Training Group, and today we're going to talk about how to zero your rifle, specifically a carbine. It's the same as a bolt gun, just there's less accuracy. Okay, the group size is just going to be bigger. These aren't, generally speaking, carbines aren't a precision-minded rifle. Now, you do have precision style carbines with 18-inch and 20-inch barrels and different calibers and whatnot. But what most everybody has is the general purpose rifle. Case in point, this is a Santan 13.9-inch rifle suppressed with a LPVO. It's just a 1-to-6 power. So max magnification is 6 by. Most of you with hunting rifles have a 3-to-9 or a 4-to-12 or something to that effect, with lots more magnification than this. So you can see the target a little closer and more clearly. All right, so why have you been zeroing your rifle wrong? Well, it's because we try applying bolt gun accuracy to these style rifles, and we can't do that. All right, we just simply aren't going to get sub MOA accuracy out of general purpose carbines unless you're spending big money on super nice barrels and really nice ammo. Of course, there's exceptions to every rule, but again, generally speaking, you just ain't gonna get sub MOA out of a carbine. You can't just shoot 3 rounds and zero to that 3 rounds. Okay, your rifle, like all guns, are going to shoot a cone of fire. Okay, it's not going to shoot laser beams one after another. It's just going to shoot a large cone of fire, and that cone gets bigger the further it goes out. Dispersion, angles of dispersion, all that good stuff. So you need to be creating the cone at your zeroing distance and zero to the center of that cone. 3 rounds isn't going to represent all that cone. Hornady Ballistics Lab did a great study on this, and I'm going to mess up these numbers, so just take them as a general idea. But 3 rounds only shows you about 30 or so % of your cone of what it actually is. And it could be to one side, up, down. It could magically be in the middle, and you could get lucky, but generally that's not the case. And if you zero your cone of fire to over here, well, then you're going to be that much off, whatever it is, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, whatever. The smallest group size that produces a higher percentage cone of fire is 10 rounds, and that puts you somewhere in the realm of 70-something % of the cone of fire that the rifle and that ammo will produce. Of course, your environmental barometric pressure, elevation, humidity, and things like that will change if you go somewhere vastly different from where you zeroed. But all right, within this environment set that you're in, the ammo that you're using and the barrel that you have, you need at least 10 rounds to represent a cone of fire. Now, 20 rounds, even better. You go up to something like 80-something %, and 30 rounds is somewhere in the mid-90s, I believe. So ideally, a 30-round aggregate will give you the most predictable and most true representation of your cone of fire, again, of that barrel ammo and environmental stat. For administrative purposes, all right, on the line, if you're just teaching a regular class, you can get away with 10-round groups and then go do the 30-round group on your own time. I also like just doing 10-round groups to test ammo, because I can, like, at 10 rounds, I can see whether or not I want to keep going to 30. If I'm at 2 inches with 10 rounds, nope, ain't messing with that ammo at 100 yards. By the way, I'm doing all this at 100 yards because 100 yards for a magnified gun is the sweet spot, in my opinion. Anything less than 50 yards is irresponsible, and in the true meaning of this word, ignorant. Like you don't have the knowledge of it. So please, for the love of God, do not listen to the people with 25 and 36 yard zeros. That is incredibly irresponsible with their 9 inches of hold under at 100 yards. They're shooting minute of man, and that ain't acceptable in the CONUS as a private citizen. All right, so back to the task at hand. I have 2 different rounds I want to try out today. They're both Frontier. One's a 5.56 75 grain. Yes, one's a 5.56 75 grain. This is a 5.56 chambered barrel, and the other is a 223 68 grain. Both are going to be boat tail hollow points, or OTMs, if you will, open tip match. It's just a match ammo, and they typically do pretty good defensively as well. Their terminal effectiveness ain't bad. It ain't a gold dot, but it ain't really far behind. Black Hills 77 grain OTMs have done very well over the years, and everybody pretty much tries to chase that because none of us want to pay like $1.50 to $2 a round for those things when I can get that for like 60 something cents a round, 70 something cents a round. All right, so I got 2 little boxes of it because I want to test them and see if my barrel rifle likes that ammo. Currently, I have the AAC 77 grain at 2,700 feet per second version, not the 2,500, and it's producing 2 3/4 30 round aggregates. Okay, that, in my opinion, under 3 inches for a 30 round aggregate cone of fire is in the realm of acceptable. Okay, because you're talking a 3-inch headshot at 100 yards. If I hold center, I'm within 3 inches. I'm a-okay with that. Of course, I want better. I would love to find a 2-inch ammo for this barrel. Now, with it being a 13.9 Roscoe barrel, it's not an accuracy-minded barrel by any means. It's a general-purpose barrel. Like, I can bust coyotes at 100 and be okay with myself. I still want to find something that can get around that 2 inches or less and see if that's even possible. Again, I have a 13.9. So what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to shoot the 10 rounds real quick. We'll speed up that 10 rounds because like I'm trying to make it as stable and consistent as possible. And then I'll show you the results of both. Okay. Now, before I get into that, let me give you some tips on how to set up your rifle for success. It really needs to be supported and planted. Also, be careful of where you support the front of the gun. The rail attaches to the barrel nut, which is what holds the barrel on. So it stands to reason, and this is actually how it works out, if you put a bipod way up in the front and you're shoving into it, you're putting a certain amount of deflection into that rail and it's transferring directly to the barrel. Now, it's not much. I've seen it as much as a 1-inch deviation at 100. So it's not a ton, but it's something to be mindful of. You want to be as consistent across whatever you do. Like, pick one and kind of stick with it. I don't really use bipods all that much, so I'm a bigger fan of bags, shooting off barricades and things like that. So what I do for zeroing purposes is I put the bag as close to the receiver set as possible, limiting the amount of deflection the rail puts into the barrel nut and barrel. So hopefully I get a more true, accurate zero for whenever I go do fun stuff working off barricades and things of that nature. You want the rear obviously supported, whatever rear bag you like. I am a big fan of Armageddon gear. They're based out of Georgia. Tom and his crew, they've been in the PRS world since the dawning of PRS, and they know what they're doing. They build quality stuff, lifetime warranty, all that jazz. They have plenty of other gear you should check out. Actually, if you just want to go look at all the stuff I use, if you'll go to synergyshooting.com, look at the partners page, you'll see everything. So anyway, make sure the rifle is fully supported. All right, make sure you are supported, not floating or dangling or anything like that. Try to get the arms to where they lay still. Press the trigger on the lull of the exhale. You know, your general marksmanship stuff. Make sure that the rifle is level as well. Okay, you really want it to be level. Sometimes when I'm really getting down in the nitty gritty, I'll take me a level and I'll go down there and I'll put my level on the target and I'll draw a long line, and then I'll do the same thing vertically as well, so that my crosshairs are matched up to that, and that gives me it gives me a way of making sure my rifle is perfectly level. So let me shoot these 20 rounds right quick. Zoom, like fast forward through all this stuff, and then we'll meet you at the target. Right quick. Cold bore shots, include them in your cone of fire. Okay, don't shoot, warm up the rifle, and then try to get a grouping, because your cold bore shot will be included in your practical use cases, these rifles. Back to business. All right, so this one was the 223 68 grain, and that one was the 556 75 grain. I don't know if these two were me or not. I felt okay for most of them, but very well could have been the ammo. This one, you know, we're within yeah, we're under 3 inches with that one. We are not under 3 inches with the 75. So what that tells me is I need to shoot them more and see what that cone of fire continues to be. If I shoot 10 more and it's still around the normal grouping of it, I know that it may have just been me on these two. And then again, if this one gets any larger, then I'm probably gonna exit out because it's already on the verge of being too big of a group. This one is probably 2.5-ish. I'm going to keep shooting it and see if that changes. But yeah, if I needed to change my zero, I'm just testing ammo right now, but if I needed to actually zero the gun, the optic, to that group, I would take the center of my cone and measure from the center to where my point of aim is and make that adjustment. And then I'll obviously go re-verify all that. So with this one, I would end up going about 2 inches down and 1 inch to the right. This one would be probably 1.5 inches down, maybe 1 inch down, and 1/2 inch to the left, depending on if I wanted to pick one or the other. I'm not changing my zero. My zero is actually already set for the 77 AAC, and until I find something better than that, I'm going to keep the zero set for that and just test ammo, looking for the smallest group size that I can get. So please, please, please go zero your rifles with at least 10 rounds. All right, zero to that cone of fire, and not just the 3 magical, maybe sub-MOA, but it's not really sub-MOA group that you produced. Okay, you need at least 10 rounds. I hope this helps. If you would love an amazing patrol marksman course that really gives a deep dive into this and the practical use case of all this, look up Eric Wise of Cornerstone Performance. He's based out of Texas. This is where I learned all this from. Great information, great source, great instructor. So without further ado, I hope this helps. Please hit me up with any questions that you may have, and I hope to see you on the range.